I used to think I had to give up everything tasty just to keep my sugar from bouncing around like a kid on a trampoline. I remember standing in the kitchen, looking at those old oatmeal packs and sugar-free cookies, thinking, is this it for the rest of my life? The mornings felt rough, waking up with shaky hands, and I would whisper, Lord, just help me get steady today. It was a lonely feeling sometimes, watching everyone else enjoy their food, while I was scared to even look at a slice of toast. But one day, after a quiet prayer and a little talk with my doctor, I decided to find foods that wouldn't send my sugar climbing up like a squirrel on a bird feeder. I started trying a few foods that I once thought were off limits or pointless. And let me tell you, I was surprised. These foods didn't just keep my sugar calm. They actually made me feel stronger, steadier, and even a bit happier each morning. And they taste good, too. So in this video, I'm going to share 7 delicious foods that help keep my sugar calm like a puppy on a porch in the sun. And if you stay with me until the end, I have something extra I want to share that might surprise you. It's never too late to feel a little steadier, even after 60, and thank the Lord for these small blessings we can still enjoy. If you'd like to hear more simple ways to feel steadier each morning, feel free to subscribe so we can walk this road together. Number 7, sardines. I used to wrinkle my nose just thinking about sardines. The smell alone reminded me of bait buckets from old fishing trips with my uncle, sitting by the lake in the early morning fog. I'd watch him pop open a can and eat them right there on the dock, saying, "These will put hair on your chest." Back then, I just reached for a sandwich instead, thinking sardines were too salty and too strong for my taste. Funny how things change when you're trying to keep your sugar calm and your body steady after 60. One morning, I was at Walmart picking up a few things when I saw a stack of sardine cans on the shelf. I remember what my doctor said about omega-3s helping with heart health, and I'd heard some folks at church talk about sardines being good for you. So I grabbed a can, figuring I could give it a try with a bit of mustard and some whole grain crackers. The first bite brought back memories of those lake mornings, but this time, I felt grateful knowing I was giving my body something it actually needed. What surprised me was how full I felt without feeling heavy or sleepy afterward. Sardines have almost no carbs, so they don't make your sugar jump around, and they're packed with protein to help keep you steady between meals. I found they were easy on the wallet too, especially when you're watching your grocery budget these days. It's a comfort knowing I can have something quick, affordable, and good for my sugar, all while reminding me of simpler times by the lake. If you've never tried sardines, you might be surprised how easy they are to add to your day. I've mixed them into scrambled eggs with a little spinach, or just had them straight out of the can with a squeeze of lemon and a sprinkle of black pepper. You don't need to make it fancy. Sometimes I eat them right on the porch, watching the birds and thanking God for another morning I can feel steady. It's a simple blessing that doesn't take much time to prepare. The best part is, sardines aren't just about sugar control. They help keep your joints and heart healthy too. I've noticed on the days I eat them, I don't get that mid-morning shakiness, and I feel clearer in my head. Maybe it's the omega-3s doing their quiet work, or maybe it's just a piece of knowing I'm taking care of myself in small ways that add up. Either way, if you've been looking for a simple food that won't mess with your sugar, sardines are worth a spot in your pantry. Number 6, black beans. There's something about a pot of black beans simmering on the stove that brings a kind of comfort to the house. The slow bubbling sound, the warm steam carrying the scent of garlic and earth, reminds me of the times I come in from mowing the yard, hungry and grateful for a simple meal. It's a food that doesn't shout for attention but sits there, patient, waiting to give you exactly what you need without fuss. These days, I've found that black beans do more than just fill the plate. They help keep my sugar calm without leaving me feeling empty a couple hours later. I've seen these beans at every Walmart and Costco shelf, neatly stacked in cans, waiting quietly while folks rush by looking for fancy health foods. But I'll tell you, when you're looking to feel steady after breakfast or lunch, black beans can be one of the best helpers around. They're full of fiber, and they seem to slow things down inside your body, like a gentle brake, so your sugar doesn't spike and crash. I notice that on days I add a scoop of black beans, I don't get that tired, shaky feeling in the afternoon. One thing I appreciate about black beans is how they fit into almost any meal without much trouble. I'll warm some up and put them next to scrambled eggs, or add them to a bowl with avocado and a little bit of cheese. Sometimes, if I feel like it, I'll mash them up with a bit of garlic and lemon and use them as a spread on whole grain toast. It's not complicated, and it doesn't need to be. It's the kind of food that respects your time and your wallet. I've read that black beans have a low glycemic index, but what matters more to me is how I feel after I eat them. There's a steadiness that comes, a feeling that my body is working with me, not against me. And in a world that often feels fast and loud, having a food that brings quiet energy is a small blessing I thank the Lord for. It's comforting to know there's something simple you can rely on, especially when you're trying to keep your sugar from bouncing around like a restless puppy. If you've never tried adding black beans to your meals, it might be worth giving them a spot on your plate this week. You don't have to change everything at once. Just try a scoop here and there. See how your body feels. Sometimes it's these small changes, the quiet ones, that end up helping the most in the long run. Number 5, raspberries. The first time I really looked at raspberries, I noticed how they're like tiny cups, holding just a bit of morning dew when you bring them home from a market. I was standing there in the kitchen, letting them warm up a little from the fridge, and I thought, God sure made these bright to catch your eye. I hadn't paid them much attention before, usually passing by in the produce section for bananas or apples, but one day I decided to give them a fair try, hoping to find a fruit that wouldn't send my sugar bouncing around. What I found was a sweet, tart little burst that felt like it woke me up without giving me the jitters. Raspberries have this way of satisfying that craving for something sweet, without leaving you feeling heavy or guilty afterward. They're low in sugar, high in fiber, and gentle on the body, letting you enjoy a taste of summer any day of the week. For me, they become a quiet part of my mornings, adding a bit of color and a clean taste that feels like a small gift when you're working to keep your sugar steady. I've started keeping a small bowl of raspberries on the counter during breakfast, and sometimes I'll toss a few into plain yogurt or cottage cheese. There's no fuss to them, no need to peel or slice, and they don't make a mess, which is a blessing when you'd rather be sipping coffee by the window than scrubbing cutting boards. A few berries go a long way, adding a brightness that makes even a simple breakfast feel a bit more special. I learned that raspberries have antioxidants, which folks say are good for your body as you get older, but what matters more to me is how I feel after eating them. There's no sugar crash, no sudden hunger coming back too soon, just a steady, satisfied feeling that carries me through my morning tasks, whether that's checking on the garden or paying bills at the kitchen table. It's a quiet kind of help, and sometimes that's exactly what we need at this age. If you've been looking for a way to add a touch of sweetness to your day without the sugar troubles, a handful of raspberries might be worth trying. They're easy to find, easy to eat, and easy on your body, reminding us that some of the best choices we can make don't have to be complicated or expensive. Sometimes it's these small, bright things that help us feel steady as we go about our day. Number 4, spinach. There's a quiet satisfaction in seeing a handful of fresh spinach leaves on your plate, the deep green reminding you of spring grass after a good rain. I didn't grow up eating much spinach. To be honest, back then, it was something you saw in cartoons, and I figured it was just rabbit food. But as I got older and started paying attention to what helped me feel steady during the day, I found myself reaching for spinach more often, especially on mornings when I wanted to feel clear-headed and light on my feet. Spinach doesn't make a big fuss, and that's one of the reasons I've come to appreciate it. It cooks down fast in a pan with just a bit of olive oil, and you can add it to scrambled eggs, soups, or even a sandwich without it taking over the whole meal. I've found that having spinach in the fridge feels like keeping a quiet helper around, ready to lend a hand when you need something nourishing but simple. It doesn't spike my sugar, and I feel a calm steadiness that makes it easier to handle small chores or errands without that mid-morning slump. I once read that spinach is packed with vitamins, iron, and even magnesium, which helps with those restless nights when sleep doesn't come easy. But I don't think about all that when I eat it. I just notice that my body feels lighter and my mind clearer on days I include it in a meal. It's like giving yourself a small head start in the day without needing another cup of coffee to get moving. Some mornings, I'll warm up a handful with garlic and a pinch of salt, and that's enough to make breakfast feel hearty without being heavy. You can find spinach easily at Walmart or even at local farmer stands during the season. I've used both the fresh leaves and the frozen kind, and both work just fine when you're putting together a quick meal. What matters is having it around, ready to add color and calm to your plate, reminding you that eating well doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. It's one of those small choices that add up, especially when you're looking to keep your sugar from creeping up throughout the day. Sometimes I thank the Lord for simple foods like spinach, ones that help us care for ourselves quietly while we keep living our lives. If you've been looking for a way to add something light, clean, and steady to your meals, maybe it's worth letting a handful of spinach find its way onto your plate this week. It's a small green reminder that taking care of yourself can be as gentle as it is important. Number 3, walnuts. I was at the checkout line one afternoon, and there was a small bag of walnuts sitting near the register, just waiting there like they were reminding me of something. I picked them up out of curiosity, rolling a few in my hand, feeling their rough shells and thinking about the old walnut tree that used to stand by the edge of our yard when I was young. Back then, the squirrels were the only ones excited about walnuts. I never thought much about them until I started looking for ways to keep my sugar steady without giving up everything I enjoyed. Walnuts have a quiet richness, a soft crunch that feels comforting without being too heavy. I've found that a small handful in the afternoon helps take the edge off hunger, keeping me from reaching for something sugary when I need a little snack. They don't spike my sugar, and they leave me feeling satisfied in a way that's hard to explain until you've tried it yourself. It's like having a calm energy that lasts through the day, helping you feel steady even when life gets a bit busy. What I appreciate most about walnuts is how easy they are to keep around. I've tucked small bags in the pantry and even in the car for when I'm out running errands and need something quick. They're simple, no preparation needed, and they don't leave a mess behind. Sometimes I'll add a few to a bowl of oatmeal or sprinkle them over a salad, giving a soft crunch that makes even a plain meal feel a bit more special. It's a small thing that feels like you're taking care of yourself in a quiet, steady way. I've read that walnuts are good for the heart, rich in those healthy fats folks talk about. But for me, what matters most is how they fit into my day without making things complicated. It's comforting to know that something so small can help you feel balanced, especially when you're trying to keep sugar from creeping up while still enjoying your food. It's one of those changes that doesn't feel like a chore, and I thank the Lord for small blessings like that. If you've been looking for a simple, satisfying way to keep your sugar steady, maybe try bringing home a small bag of walnuts this week. See how they fit into your day, whether with breakfast, lunch, or just as a quiet snack when the afternoon feels long. It's one of those small steps that can help you feel a little steadier, one handful at a time. Number 2, avocado. It was a quiet morning when I first decided to add avocado to my breakfast. The kitchen was still cool, the sun just starting to peek through the curtains, and I sliced open that green fruit, noticing how smooth and soft it felt under the knife. I had always seen avocados at the store, but walked past them, unsure if they were worth the fuss. But as I started looking for foods that could help keep my sugar steady without leaving me feeling hungry an hour later, I thought it was time to give avocado a fair chance. What I found surprised me. Avocado doesn't have that sharp sweetness or crunch like other foods. Instead, it offers a quiet creaminess that feels comforting on a piece of toast or next to eggs in the morning. It doesn't mess with my sugar, keeping things calm and steady, and it helps me feel full in a way that makes it easy to get on with the day without thinking about snacks before lunch. It's a peaceful kind of food, one that seems to give more than it takes. Sometimes I'll mash avocado with a sprinkle of salt and a squeeze of lemon, spreading it on whole grain toast for a simple breakfast. Other days, I'll slice it beside a small salad or add it to a bowl of black beans for lunch. It doesn't take much, just a few slices, and it turns a plain meal into something that feels nourishing and comforting. It's the kind of food that doesn't demand attention, quietly supporting your body as you move through your day. I've learned that avocados are full of those healthy fats that help with heart health and can keep sugar levels from spiking after a meal. But what I notice most is the steadiness they bring, helping me avoid that tired, shaky feeling that sometimes comes mid-morning. It's a small comfort knowing that something so simple can help you feel stronger and clearer, making it easier to focus on what matters without worrying about sugar ups and downs. If you've been looking for a way to add something gentle and filling to your meals, maybe try adding avocado this week. It's easy to find at Walmart or your local market, and it doesn't take much effort to add to your plate. Sometimes the quiet foods are the ones that help us the most, and I thank God for these small gifts that let us take care of ourselves while still enjoying what we eat. Number 1, chia seeds. I remember the first time I opened a small bag of chia seeds, wondering how something so tiny could be worth adding to a meal. They felt like tiny grains of gravel in my hand, almost too small to notice, but I'd heard from a neighbor at church that they were good for keeping sugar steady. I didn't expect much, to be honest, but I figured if something simple could help me feel steadier in the mornings, it was worth a try. What surprised me was how these tiny seeds could swell up in a glass of water or a bowl of yogurt, turning into a soft, pudding-like texture that was easy to eat and left me feeling full. I noticed that on mornings I added chia seeds to my breakfast. I didn't get that shaky, empty feeling mid-morning. My sugar stayed calm, and I felt like I had the energy to move through my day without reaching for snacks to keep me going. It was a quiet kind of help, the sort you only notice when you look back at how steady you felt. One of the things I've come to appreciate about chia seeds is how easy they are to use. I've added a spoonful to overnight oats, stirred them into a small cup of yogurt, or even dropped them into a glass of water with a squeeze of lemon. They don't have much taste, but they bring a gentle fullness that helps keep sugar from spiking while making a simple meal feel more complete. It doesn't take much, just a spoonful here and there, and you've added something nourishing to your day. I learned that chia seeds are full of fiber and healthy fats, and while folks talk about the health benefits, what matters most to me is how they help me feel calm and steady as I move through small tasks around the house. Whether I'm folding laundry, reading my Bible in the quiet morning hours, or walking out to check the mail, it feels good to move through the day without the ups and downs that come from sugar swings. If you've been looking for a small, easy way to help keep your sugar calm, chia seeds might be worth trying. They're affordable, easy to find at Walmart or your local grocery store, and they don't take much effort to use. Sometimes it's the smallest things, the quiet choices, that end up helping us the most, and I thank the Lord for these small gifts that help us care for ourselves in simple, steady ways. As I mentioned at the start of this video, I had something extra I wanted to share with you, something I was hesitant about for a long time. It took me a while to come around, but it turned out to be one of the best choices I made for keeping my sugar steady. And that extra blessing, my friend, is something as simple and familiar as eggs. There was a time when I avoided eggs, thinking they were part of the problem. Folks would say eggs were bad for your heart or would raise your cholesterol, and I figured they might mess with my sugar too. But as I started paying closer attention, I noticed that many people who were working to keep their sugar steady included eggs in their meals and seemed to feel better for it. It made me curious enough to crack open a few eggs one quiet morning and see what would happen. What I found was that eggs are gentle on my sugar, leaving me feeling full and steady without any spikes or crashes. They give a calm kind of energy that helps you get through morning chores or quiet walk without feeling shaky or tired. I like how they're quick to cook, whether scrambled with spinach or boiled ahead of time for an easy snack. They don't take much fuss, and they fit easily into a simple, steady life. There's a comfort in the warmth of eggs fresh off the stove, paired with a slice of whole grain toast or a few slices of avocado. The taste is familiar, reminding me of early breakfast before school or quiet mornings before work. It feels good to know that something so simple and affordable can help keep sugar steady while giving you a sense of satisfaction and clear-headedness as you go about your morning. I've learned the cholesterol in eggs doesn't automatically turn into trouble for your heart, especially when you're focusing on a balanced diet. For me, what matters most is how I feel afterward. Eggs help me avoid the temptation of sugary snacks and start the day with steadiness and care, which feels like a small blessing. If you've been hesitant about eggs like I was, maybe it's worth giving them another look, letting them be a quiet helper on your path to calmer, steadier days. If you've made it this far, I just want to say thank you for spending this time with me. It's not always easy looking for ways to feel steady when you're dealing with sugar troubles, especially when it feels like everywhere you turn, there's confusion about what to eat. But the fact that you're here, taking a few quiet minutes to learn about these simple foods, tells me you care about taking small steps to feel stronger each day. And I thank the Lord for folks like you who keep trying, even when it's not easy. These 7 foods, and that extra one we talked about aren't meant to fix everything overnight, but they help me find calm mornings and steady days without feeling like I'm missing out on the small joys of a good meal. It's comforting to know that taking care of yourself doesn't have to mean giving up on taste or spending a fortune on complicated plans. Sometimes it's these small, steady choices that let us live well, keeping us moving so we can keep loving our families and enjoying the simple blessings God gives us each day. I'm not a doctor, and I always encourage you to check with your healthcare provider before making changes to your meals, especially if you're managing diabetes or other health concerns. We're all walking this road in our own way, and it's wise to have guidance along the way. But I hope that sharing what's helped me can give you a place to start, a bit of encouragement for your own mornings, and maybe a new idea to try in your kitchen this week. If you found this video helpful, I'd be grateful if you would leave a like so it can reach others who need it. And feel free to subscribe if you'd like to join me for more simple ways to live steady and grateful, one day at a time. It means a lot to know we're not alone in this, and that together we can keep learning and sharing small ways to feel better and live with purpose. Take care of yourselves, and God bless y'all.